hard times by a lot of people because of the complication rate that was there. But in my fellowship, Dr. Kawamoto was one of those that continued to do so. So I've been using it quite successfully for over 25 years. We talk about it. The first article was published back in 1978 by Dr. Ortiz Monasterio to advance the orbits and face in one mid-piece, one phase, one block there, as it is. It's sort of a misnomer. This is all coming out in the block. Of course, you have to go intracranial too to sort of get that done, so you're going on the inside thing. It addresses with one operation major concerns for patients with syndromic craniosynostosis, both functional and aesthetic aspects. Why? Because you can address the airway, lobe exposure, ICP, and aesthetics all in one operation. Now, you don't get a lot of cases like this. This was a case that was that we sort of were following because these parents went to court to prevent anybody from doing any operation on this child. It was developmentally delayed, and they wanted to guarantee, not even with a monoblock, we could have just done, I think they had a slight frontal advancement, but they didn't want to have any monoblock midfacial hyperplasia and midfacial operation that we would have to go in and do anything about intracranially. So the hospital actually brought them to court and lost because we couldn't guarantee that death was not a possibility. So over time, you had to have a trach, and you could see what's going on with his eyes out there. So, I mean, you don't get to see something if these don't happen. Everybody sort of says, oh, this is what we're doing, just cosmetic and that kind of stuff. In a case like this, you can see there are real functional concerns about something like that. So that's something to remember when everybody says, oh, it's good enough, it doesn't matter, we need to do what we're going to do. So the optimal treatment protocol, most of the time, and even in syndromic kids that do a frontal orbital advancement, if you've done a good one and it stays out there, that's why I think about overcorrection is important. Then hopefully you can do a subcranial before 3, not have to go back in, and a 1 going down the road. Now the major drawbacks of a monoblock is that there's retrofrontal dead space that can actually open up, and then you open up a cavity between the nasal cavity and the calvario cavity, which sets you up potentially for a frontal abscess or some other problem like that, and a high infection rate. So there's ways to deal with that along with the contamination, but that I think is what was leading to some of the real early problems with infection, and then of course for the young people. So that dead space can be made worse, obviously, in a patient that's got a shunt. So the relative contraindications for that were shunts because you sort of be decompressed and you're advancing and you're opening up the dead space in there. So it became quite important, and this was from a chapter that I wrote that was done here, and this was Dr. Lynn's chapters in that book about how I like to do the monoblock and moving this out. Now this is not distraction, and I don't think even though I use an awful lot of distraction monoblock, it's not the only way to do it. There are a lot of definite indications to not do a distraction monoblock. You have parents that are not going to be able to do the distraction, a kid that's just not eligible for the distraction. They live really, really far away. But if you're going to do it, and really so there's a little bipartition in here, and these are sort of where these things are, with interposition bone grafts. And I always move the temporalis muscle in almost everything I do, because if the bones are in the wrong place, then the muscle's in the wrong place, because the origin of the muscle is on that bone. So the idea of keeping things up on the flap are really not well thought out. Having said that, this is a very, very important part of this operation. Now, the neurosurgeons like to tear a pericranial flap and put it down there, and they may decide to do that. What I like to do is, not similar to the nasofrontal duct, you take that mucosa, you turn it in, sew it down, and after that, I will take local, I'll just take some local pericranium and put it over that, and then I'll form-fit a bone graft in there, and then put pericranium back in. Now, I don't usually use a pericranial flap. Neurosurgeons like that. I'm not sure if it is a flap. I'm not sure whether or not there is any perfusion of that flap. The other thing of it, not that I hate it, but then you got to sort of put it in through the bone, and there's usually a step off somewhere. So I'm not crazy about it, but if the neurosurgeons insist, then that's what I'll do too. So again, the first monoblocks are talking about the publications about 20 years ago. Marshak and Renier showed an infection rate of 30% and a mortality rate of 15%. This included infants, shunted kids. Those were all comers, older patients who, by the way, have frontal sinuses. So these are the relative contraindications because it's a powerful technique, so it can be risky. So I tend to not do it in shunted patients. I avoid the frontal sinus development, so 6 to 8 years of age. Or you take that frontal sinus out and exonerate it. It's a bigger operation. Then you address the cranial base deformity, which is quite important. And again, this is how I do it. And pretty much it's It's the biggest operation we do, but there's a reason, and I'll show you some of these results, in my opinion. It's a transforming operation from looking like a kid that is syndromic. You're not just taking a kid, as my partners would say, that looks horrendous and make them ugly. You're actually completely transforming them a little bit. So we're taking it out. You can use and make an osteotomy in the midline and the and do a bipartition if these things are equal to be able to also take care of the hypertelorism at the same time. And again, that's a picture of the really more important area, which is that cranial base. So what are my, what I'm saying to you to make it more successful? What's my advice? Number one, a full osteotomy is very important. So you have to make sure that you're really well down fractured. Okay, so if you just make it light and it's just sort of coming through and it's not really down fractured, you're not going to be able to sort of get that out as far as you can. And if you do distraction, it's going to pay for it at some certain points. But one of the tricks that I do is, and this is true when I do the Fort 1 distractions too, is after you down fracture, gravity tends to take it out and down. So I'll make little drill holes at buttresses, and I'll take a 6-0 monocle, very, very light stuff, taking you in a 5-0. And I'll put it through those to get it back to sit back in the right place that I want it to sit. And I don't want that so I prevent anything, but I want that so during the time of latency, when you're letting that callus form, or this is for distraction more than anything else, I'm just putting it out, you don't have to do that, then it's in the right place, and when it comes time, breaking that 6-0 is not going to be a problem at all, but it holds it in the right place. You want to partition the skull off from the nose, as I just talked about. And you want to also think about things like if, and Joe Gross again, prayers out to him, we would say that bad shape in the back is bad shape in the front. So if you distract something that's flat and dish-like in the front, it's going to be in the back. And you distract it, you're going to have flat and dish front in the back, in the front. So it'll still be dish-faced. So you don't have to forget all the things that you can do in an osteotomy before you distract them. You can do a bipartition, then pull it together, and then distract if you want to. You can do a hypertelorism operation, plate what you want, and then distract if you want to. It's not just a one-person thing and so on and so forth. If you need to do DSP to help you, that's fine. If not, do a fellowship, figure out how to do it, and then you get out there and actually get the stuff done. But if you want to pay extra $2,000 and if they're getting more money than you are for doing the operation, that would be fine with me, whatever it takes. Paid by numbers is not what this stuff is. You have to think and actually get that stuff done. Remember that it's not stable at double the time. So that whole idea about doubling the time that was sort of talked about with the Lozaroff for distraction, I've done a lot of NIH stuff on that. If you look at that bone, it's not fully healed at that time. Now, it's reasonable to take it off, but I think what you have to do is think about retention. So when you use distraction, and I'll show you this too, I think belt and suspenders are important. If you're going to use an oral splint, that usually, especially when these young kids, is banded on the molar, and that's all you have. So I'll take orthodontic pins and put them in there and put them into the maxilla and drop wires that go around, because if you're going to do this huge operation and you're going to distract them, the last thing you want to do is lose your splint. If you lose your splint, you can't do anything anymore. It screws your operation. So you want to make sure that you got that. Overcorrection is key in young kids. You still, one, have the functional matrix, and number two, you haven't cured their syndrome. Distraction doesn't cure their syndrome. A monoblock doesn't cure their syndrome. So whatever growth abnormality you get because of a genetic abnormality that you have, that's going to continue. So you need to overcorrect to make sure they're there. Rarely are people ever overcorrected too much. In 25 years, I haven't had to put anybody back. I just haven't had to do it. So what prevents you from going out 100 yards? Well, first of all, they look terrible. But the second one is, so it's a little bit there, but really it's almost to the point of dysfunction. At some point, you know, their occlusion is so far out that they're not going to bite where they are. It depends how old they are. That overcorrection, if they're 14 or 15, you have to be a little careful from that standpoint. But if they're 6, 7, or 8, really not quite as much. But if they're drooling, so you don't want to make them functionally problematic so they can't get lip competence, but you want to overcorrect probably more than you think if you're looking at them. When you do a monoblock, you want to correct the zygomas in the eyes. This operation is not about occlusion. You're going to do a Fort 1 down the road. If you worry about occlusion, then you're going to make a sacrifice of the zygoma in the eyes. You've really made a big mistake. This is the operation for the zygoma in the eyes and making sure where it is. You can correct that with an intraoral operation down the road. So that's what you want to look at. That's why when Jeff Posnick was doing these original operations,
and he was actually doing originally an oral splint. It made no sense to me. How do you know where you're going to be? Or if you do BSP, you could do an oral splint, how do you know that that's the best way to go? You know, if you do an if you do a non-distraction monoblock, I want to get that exactly where it is. And without the soft tissues doing it on BSP, you're not going to know where those eyes are sitting. You can say you do, but your aesthetic eye is what that's about. It's not going to be a computer, not going to be Hal in this operation, it's you. How many times have you gone to the ICU? There's 5,000 things. You got a swan dance catheter in the old days. You got 9,000 things, and they go, there's a whip on the line, I think he's dry. So there's all those things going on. You got $9,000 worth of technology. There's a bit of a whip on the line, I think that. At the end of the day, this computer is much better than that computer. If you need to look at the other computer to hold your hand when you're in there, that's wonderful. If you need it, that's fine. If not, come visit somebody like that, okay? Let me learn how to do it and actually get that stuff done. That would be fun, but I don't mind it. Paint by numbers is a wonderful thing. My kids used to play with it. Down fracture and splint from that standpoint. When you down fracture the midface, you usually have to use disimpaction forceps. Most of these kids have a palate that is not only high arched, but it's angled. And if you put those disimpaction forceps on, you'll usually rip up that mucosa. So you can take a piece of methacrylate and put it up there as just a little block temporarily, pop it in there, and that way you have something flat to get on as you down fracture. Now, if your resident doesn't really know what they're doing and so on, and you send them in there to do it, this is before I had a fellowship, I told them exactly what to do, you have to remember that don't put too much methacrylate in there, right? It hardens up, and you got to get it out, right? So if you just put a huge amount, what's going to happen? You're going to get a Staghorn calculus. It's going to go up into the palate and around the back of the soft palate and into the nasal pharynx. So my resident came back to me and said, Dr. McQuack, I can't get it out. So we had to actually saw this thing to get the thing out. But all you really want to do is the front part of the hard palate, so you have something to go on. And also, your fractures are really important to make sure that they're complete. So one of the more difficult ones are around the eyes. You can go laterally, I go laterally, and then from above you can go behind the canthus with an osteotome, and you get the lamina propria. But there's a buttress right there at the nasomaxillary buttress inside the orbit. If that's not complete, you can take a monoblock, and with Dr. Kelman one time we called it, especially with young kids, and make it into a plinthoblock. And you don't want to do that. You don't want the bones shattered in a lot of places. So if you need to and you can't get there, and it's technically sometimes difficult to get that osteotomy right at that point, I'll point it out to where that is, then do a transconus just to make your osteotomy. Don't be worried about that. That'd be fine. So symptomatic patients can accelerate protocol. Sometimes the problem is that you may have to move that monoblock up. And that can be a problem because sometimes we don't really have the technology. But if you have high ICP, airway compromising globe exposure, if you want to avoid a trach or a lateral tarsorrhaphes or and obviously a shunt, and you might not be able to do that, then potentially doing one early might count. So here's a case of a young girl. And again, Cruzon's not particularly terrible. Great candidate for a monoblock. And as I said, you really can make a difference here. But one thing I'll find too is be very patient with these eyes. They've been pregnant for a long time. And as the women that have been pregnant in the audience will tell you that after a while what happens is you get a little bit of extra skin, and it may take a while to sort of come back. Get a lot of them may not come back at all, and you may have to come back for a belly sort of thing to be done. In the same way, their eyes are going to be that way. But this is the kind of operation that you're going to get that takes what I consider a child that looks syndromic and makes them non-syndromic. This child, very, very syndromic. This was late. I was one of the ones that I inherited when I first got there. Real tough case from that standpoint. But again, you know, in one operation, sort of been able to get sort of things much further out. In a situation like this, again, sort of an odd look and that kind of stuff. Exorbitism, maybe hypoplasia. Really, the eyes are sticking out of the head. Same situation. You know, this kid just looks like he should be now playing with videos, right? I mean, you know, this young kid sitting in the basement, you know, playing whatever, that's Fortnite or something. There he is. Look at this kid, you know, he's not sort of, you know, this kid just real sort of odd areas that are here. He had a frontal orbital advancement way back. That certainly didn't work. Really good person monoblock. And look at the difference. I mean, this is the kind of difference you will get with this kind of an operation. I just don't think any other operation, this kid looks like a regular kid.
I mean, is from a lot of ways to be able to get that done. I think it's a big deal here. This kid was more syndromic, very like, but this astigmatism was almost to the point of these eyes popping out of the head. The good news is everything go back in, really wait a long time before doing anything. A lot of the skin will go down over time, but you just have to wait there, and then you may have to do something. But it's one of those points because the astigmatism was so bad that it stretches out a lot of that area that's there. But look at the kind of advancement you're talking about. By the way, I want to sort of make the case here. All these so far, non-distraction. So I know you guys are doing non-distraction. Now, I do a lot of distraction, and I do it, because I think you can actually, especially some of the severe cases, get even further than I can get on the table, and you lessen the recoil that's there, no doubt about it. But this still can be used with really good results. And unfortunately, there's just not a lot of surgeons out there willing to do them. And so find the fellowships where you can learn how to do them. And then when you do those fellowships, it doesn't mean you have to do them, but it means it's in your own integrity. It means you can do them, right? If you're a hammer, the whole world is a nail. If that's all you know how to do is put in implants, you're going to put in an implant. That's what you're going to do. It's not great shape. This was a really difficult case. It's been operated on like multiple times. I didn't even want to operate on this kid. Came in from the UP, 9,000 operations, very, very, bad situation. I told him about all the infection stuff that you can go, and obviously that would be great looking, but this is particularly difficult. At least he can certainly pass. But look at the convexity that we're talking about there. Again, non-distraction here. Or this child, now this is again, look at this girl. She got great skin. Look how pretty she is. I mean, we're not talking about taking the child right and making her ugly. She's cute. Look at this girl. Same sort of thing. Cute. So you can really make a difference. Now, in distraction, I think it sort of changed things a little bit. I was a little bit worried about distraction in the beginning. The major thing distraction is going for it is that break between the nasopharynx and the cranial vault. You want callus to form. So I'll wait 5 to 7 days because I really want there to be callus to form. And it takes the frontal lobes along with it very, very slowly. So we just haven't seen as much infection rate. Of course, we're doing that. I don't get a lot of infections because since those things that I've been able to do that are there. And you can bring those soft tissues out, and I think you're probably going to get a little bit less relapse. You have to do a double distractor like we have over here, and there's a lot of different ways you can certainly bring it together. I don't put them here, I tend to put things in the middle going over there. So here's another case, right, where a kid completely, cute when you're a kid, probably not going to be great as an adult, won't get to the prom probably. So those sort of things that are there, she'll get there on her own, but it's not good looking. Mid-face not that great, from that someone really, really far back. Great distraction candidate. There's the occlusion way far back. So this is the distraction that we're using and over here. I sort of try to do a bipartition. I will put them in through screws and a little plate that I'll have in there that I'll get it from there at 2 different levels. I get my orthodontist involved to take this with me. We try to center exactly where the center of gravity is, bringing them forward. When they do it, often my orthodontists make this thing a little bit too retroclined, so when you start, it's sitting up against the lip. I'm always afraid that a hard piece of metal against the lip will cause some sort of a problem there. So we'll wrap it with Duoderm, but after a while, when you're pulling on this, those will come forward a little bit, and then essentially they won't pull on the lip anymore. So again, I'm moving this, and I'm watching the eyes, and I'm watching the zygoma. And I like to overcorrect. So I'm going to show you, I've got a great photographer, so I'm going to show you because you're able to see it. And this is her post-op. Now I think if you looked at her pre-op, she sort of had a little bit of this going on with her eyes before. So you can see, I think it's a little imperfect in that way, sort of back the eyes. But I think the difference of that just as night and day. To me, that is just transforming. And look at that occlusion. Now I didn't do it for occlusion. And then they did first stage occlusion, just first level occlusion. And we got to this. I mean, it's just unbelievable. It's something. That's her smile. I mean, that's where we'll get her back. And this is 6 years down the road. That's what we're talking about, changing somebody's life. So it's a big operation. That's the forehead. And that's her second stage orthodontia, working out quite well. It's another girl, Seyfried-Schoedsen syndrome. Look at that flat forehead. Very difficult. Look at the occlusion. Again, the same sort of things that we're talking about, all the different things I talk about saying, overcorrecting, getting that where it's out, and just making a huge difference, I think, in these kids. This is what it was all about for me in doing craniofacial and plastic surgery. These are the operations you're talking about. This is the problem when you have a kid like this. So you have a kid that's got Lucan Shaker. We did this like 2 days of age. I had to go in, high ICP. There's published rates of death of 50% in these kids, multi-suture synostosis. We had to dig the sutures out of the bone, out of the sutures. I didn't have enough bone. You just put it all back when they're very young. We got the kid out to this, and I did this in one operation. The kid was shunted, really tough stuff. And I got the kid to look like this, which is not bad, right? Remember, not mid-face. This is when he was just an infant, right? Within weeks old. But then over time, right, his mid-face is a problem. And then it's a Pfeiffer syndrome kid. He started to have, at 2 years of age, myotonic spasms. He needed a shunt, slit ventricle. He already had a shunt. Slit ventricles and a tight head, already shunted. So the neurosurgeons were like, what are we going to do? So obviously, look at this kid. This kid is refractory globe exposure, right? He's had problems with his airway, so we had to expand the cranial vault, increase orbital volume, and expand his pharyngeal airway all in one operation. Well, doing that with a monoblock is the way to do it. So again, the monoblock that we talked about, right? What I was talking about is when you're going to distract, make sure these don't sink and go down. You don't want these eyes to become long, right? So we did this. I don't use these tiny grooves anymore. You don't need a tiny groove for distraction. And this is what we did. Here he was here. I did internal distractors. I like, because there's really hard at this age. You know, they have such soft bone. It's really, really hard to do something in control. We use the external distractors laterally. And I was going to show here, I overcorrected him and then even went beyond that. You can see as we're going there, here are these internal distractors, and I went beyond that because he's so young, I think you have to overcorrect. But then you get kids like this. So you have to come up with really, really good ways, and this is probably more creative ways. What are you going to do with a kid like this? You could trade them. I don't want to do the wrong thing to do. They don't really have the distractors out there right now to deal with kids like this. So you have to be exceedingly creative and use the principles that we're talking about. I want to thank everybody for that.